Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Let's solve UPSC. Sorry for the delay in the videos. I was not well from the past few days, suffering from severe cold and cough along with fever, but I'm all right now. And in this video, we are going to discuss about note making for mains. ये note making है क्या चीज़, कैसे करते हैं इसको? Let's see about that. Some things about me first. I had a score of 400 in NEET UG. I have completed my Bachelor of Dental Surgery. I have given mains 2023 and 2024, and presently I am awaiting my mains results of 2024. These are my previous year mark sheets. In the prelims of 2023, I had a decent enough score of 92, but I could not clear my mains 2023 due to a low score in my optional. Now, note making क्या है? If you have seen any toppers talk or toppers video, basically all the toppers have just one thing to say, that note making अपने हिसाब से होती है, आंसर राइटिंग अपने हिसाब से होती है, हर किसी के नोट्स अलग बनते हैं, मैं नोट्स बनाता ही नहीं था या मैं अंडरलाइन कर देता हूँ जो भी सोर्स है मेरा उसमें. मोस्ट ऑफ देम से दिस दैट but no one will exactly tell you what note making is. See, the point is, whatever you think, you put them in the notes. Okay, whatever you think about a topic, you put them in your notes. Now, how you make your notes, it reflects in your answers when you write them in the exam. And if you write good answers, you will get good marks in mains, which will help you to clear your dream of UPSC CSC 2025. Okay, so is note making that important that it will help us to clear the exam? Let's see. Let's go back 1 week before your 2025 मेंस एग्जामिनेशन. फ्राइडे को आपका एसए का पेपर स्टार्ट होता है. लेट्स स्टार्ट फ्रॉम दैट वीक्स संडे. ओके, संडे यू हैव टू स्टडी GS1. मंडे you'll have to revise GS2. ट्यूसडे को आपको GS3 रिवाइज करना पड़ेगा. वेडनेसडे को आपको GS4 रिवाइज करना पड़ेगा. देन ऑन थर्सडे you'll at least write 2 or 3 essays. You'll look at the anecdotes of essays, the quotes for essays, and आप इन सब चीज़ों को रिवाइज करोगे. देन ऑन फ्राइडे आपका एक्चुअल एसे का एग्जाम है. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट सैटरडे GS1 सुबह, GS2 in the afternoon session. Okay, from 2:30 to 5:30. Now, next morning again 9 o'clock you'll have to go and write GS3. That means GS2 और GS3 के पेपर के बीच में you have लेस देन 24 आवर्स ऑफ टाइम. आपको यूपीएससी 24 घंटे का भी टाइम नहीं देता है टू रिवाइज एंड फॉर द नेक्स्ट एग्जाम. सो यू विल हैव टू कम बैक इन द इवनिंग फ्रॉम द GS2 पेपर एंड देन रिवाइज बोथ GS3 एंड GS4. दैट मीन्स आपके नोट्स बहुत ही क्रिस्प शॉर्ट होने चाहिए सो दैट यू कैन रिवाइज देम इन वन डे और नॉट इवन वन डे, जस्ट इन वन इवनिंग. ओके, सो नाउ what are the problems in note making? सबसे पहला, we do not know how and from where to start note making. Okay, next, many people on my Telegram channel have told me that they could not decide what to add in the notes and what to leave, and finally they end up making very bulky notes. Okay, now how many pages should it contain? How can not be it made bulky? Next, PYQ मैपिंग. ये आप सब लोगों ने बहुत जगह सुना होगा, PYQ मैप कर लो सिलेबस से, जो है सिलेबस एंड PYQ देख के अपने नोट्स को बना लो. क्या है ये PYQ मैपिंग? किस चिड़िया का नाम है? लेट्स सी. सबसे पहले तो आई विल शो यू हाउ आई डू सिलेबस एंड PYQ मैपिंग एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट हाउ आई मेक माई नोट्स. सो दिस इज द पार्ट ऑफ इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी इन GS3 सिलेबस. क्या लिखा है? Linkages between development and spread of extremism. That means we have to link our idea of development to the spread of extremism. Now, extremism generally is of 3 types. One is left-wing extremism, one is Jammu and Kashmir insurgency, and northeast extremism. Okay, so now let us look at the questions, the previous year questions regarding the topic extremism. 2013, Article 244 of the Indian Constitution relates to administration of scheduled areas and tribal areas. Okay, analyze the impact of non-implementation of provisions of the fifth schedule on the growth of left-wing extremism. अब मुझे ये क्वेश्चन पढ़ के क्या समझ में आया दैट जब भी मैं अपने लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म के नोट्स बनाऊंगा तो उसमें मुझे नॉन इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ फिफ्थ शेड्यूल से रिलेट करके लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म का डेवलपमेंट लिखना है. ठीक है, आई नीड टू रिसर्च ऑन दैट टॉपिक एंड देन आई नीड टू राइट दैट इन माई नोट्स. नाउ नेक्स्ट, the persisting drivers of government for development of large industries in backward areas have resulted in isolating the tribal population and the farmers who faced multiple displacements with Malkangiri and Naxalbari foci. Discuss the corrective strategies needed to win the left-wing extremism doctrine affected citizens back into the mainstream of social and economic growth. ओके सो अब मुझे इसमें क्या दिखा, मुझे इसमें दिखा कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल I have to write about the development of large industries in backward areas and link them to isolation of tribal population. Next, then I have to know at least a few case studies on Malkangiri and Naxalbari foci, at least one. Next, I have to discuss the corrective strategies needed to win left-wing extremism doctrine affected citizens back into the mainstream. तो अब जब मैं अपने लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म के नोट्स बनाऊंगा देन व्हाट आई विल राइट इज आई विल राइट द डेवलप आई लिंक isolation of tribal population with development of large industries, number one. Number two, I'll write at least one case study on Naxalbari foci at least. And number three, I will write the way forward to bring back citizens who are supporting Naxalism or left-wing extremism back into the mainstream society. Now, next, if we see question number 8, left-wing extremism is showing a downward trend, but it still affects many parts of the country. Briefly explain the government of India's approach to counter the challenges posed by LWE. ठीक है, क्या दिखा मुझे इसमें? Next, this part of the first part of the question that LWE is showing a downward trend. It suggests that I need to have some data on the trends of Naxalism, right? And like how many violent incidents have been happened in the past few years, how many killings have been happened in the past few years, how many districts are still Naxal affected. I need to have a certain amount of fairly good amount of data on these trends. Next, but it is still affecting many parts of the country. That means there are still challenges of Naxalism, still they are present. And briefly explain the government of India's approach to counter the challenges of LWE. Okay, government of India's approach to counter the challenges of LWE. That means whenever I prepare my internal left-wing extremism notes, so what all I'll add is the approaches of government. I have to write the trends or the data. Next, I'll have to have a few case studies. I have to link it with fifth schedule. And finally, I have to write the ways of bringing back citizens into the mainstream. Okay, so at least I need to have all this in my notes. Sorry, I need to have all these in my notes. So next, if we further go forward, now in 2020, what are the sound determinants of left-wing extremism in the eastern part of India? See again the determinants. Okay, दो determinants हमको already पता है. One is the non-implementation of fifth schedule and second is the development of industries in eastern backward areas. ठीक है, दो ड्राइवर्स जो है वो determinants जो है हमको यूपीएससी ने खुद ही दे दिया. Next, the strategy government of India, the strategy should government of India, civil administration and security forces adopt to counter the threat in affected areas. Okay, that means we have to have a multi-layered strategy. In our notes, we have to write about the multi-layered strategy which the government of India follows, the civil administration follows, and the security forces follow. We have to write all that. Next, 2021. Analyze the complexity and intensity of terrorism, its causes, linkages, and obnoxious nexus. Also suggest measures required to be taken to eradicate the menace of terrorism. Okay, that means, see again, the complexity and intensity. That means I need to have certain data on the trends of terrorism, its causes or its determinants, its linkages with organized crime and every other crime and everything. Okay, now next, measures to be taken to eradicate the menace of terrorism. Government of India's approach or certain way forward that various reports or various committees might have said about left-wing extremism. I need to know all of them. Now, next, in 2022, Naxalism is a social, economic, and developmental issue manifesting as a violent internal security threat. In this context, discuss the emerging issues and suggest a multi-layered strategy to tackle the menace of Naxalism. Now, see this, a multi-layered strategy. Isn't this the same thing that we just saw here regarding Government of India, civil administration, and security forces? Isn't this also a multi-layered strategy? Now, next, it is a social, economic, and developmental issue. See, these are the drivers of Naxalism: social, economic, and developmental issue. And at least 2 to 3 times, UPSC has asked the questions on determinants of Naxalism. So, what I'll do is, now I have known that I need to have the drivers of LWE also. Okay, so this is what PYQ mapping or PYQ analysis is. When you break down the PYQs, you take the subparts from them and add those information in your notes. That is what PYQ analysis is. I hope you have understood PYQ analysis from here. Now, next, see. Here I have written what all I would have added in my internal security notes of left-wing extremism, linkages with the fifth schedule. Okay, so fifth schedule is a part of governance in GS2. Now I have to know the determinants of left-wing extremism. Okay, development which is leading to left-wing extremism and bringing back those citizens into the mainstream, along with case studies on Naxalbari or Malkangiri foci. Next, I have to know the downward trends. Need to have certain data on the approaches of the government. Next, I need to have determinants, particularly on social, economic, and developmental determinants of Naxalism. I need to have some notes or data upon and examples upon them. See, this is how note making works. This is how you make notes from PYQs. This is how you make notes from syllabus. इसके अलावा आई डोंट थिंक सो देयर इज एनी अदर वे इन विच यू कुड डू. इवन इफ यू आस्क एनी टॉपर, अगर किसी ने आपको सच बता दिया, इवन इफ यू आस्क देम, देन they would also suggest you the same. So now next part, let's see one more. Terrorism. Here, question number 3. Religious indoctrination via digital media has resulted in Indian youth joining the ISIS. What is ISIS and its mission? How can ISIS be dangerous for the internal security of our country? Now, see, here the question is particularly about religious indoctrination, digital media, and Indian youth joining the ISIS. Okay, so बट जस्ट थिंक ऑफ वन थिंग, अगर एक आइसिस जैसे एक टेरर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बारे में उन्होंने पूछा है, तो दैट मीन्स दे कैन ऑल्सो आस्क अबाउट अदर टेरर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस लाइक दे हैव डन हियर Jamaat Islami, sorry, in Jammu and Kashmir. They have done like this. So that means we need to have a general note on terror organizations. Okay, a general characteristics of terror organizations, what they do, how they recruit people, how are they radicalizing the youth. We need to have notes on all of this. Okay, so what is ISIS and its mission? The missions of terror organizations, I'm telling you, just keep a generalistic points on terror organizations, because you won't know exactly how ISIS is working or how Jamaat Islami is working. That is not possible for you to know. Next, how can ISIS be dangerous for the internal security of the country? Right, fairly understandable, right, that you need to have a note on terror organizations. How can they be dangerous in the internal security of our country? Now, next, question number 6. The scourge of terrorism is a grave challenge to national security. Okay? Dangerous for national security, and challenge to national security. What solutions do you suggest to curb this growing menace? Okay. What are the major sources of terrorist funding? That means whenever I make my terrorism notes, I have to write radicalization via digital media, linking it with terrorism. I need to have certain trends on terrorism and data regarding that. Next, I need to have challenges and solutions to terrorism, and even I need to have the sources of terror funding. Why? Why the sources of terror funding? Because when you see in 2023, give out the major sources of terror funding in India and efforts being made to curtail these sources. Now, we need to have notes, we need to make notes in this way so that we do not lose any questions, we do not lose any part of the syllabus, so that we understand each and everything that UPSC is asking and we align our study according to that. Okay, so I hope you have understand how PYQ analysis works through this video or through this channel. Now, how do we make notes on all these topics? Number one, start collecting data from newspapers, topper copies, and topper notes, as I have told in my previous videos, right? Start collecting those data and then start compiling them in your GS3 internal security notes. Now, avoiding unnecessary things. See, do not write what you can remember. For example, if you are making polity notes like this, do not write articles 1 to 51A there, because I think a serious aspirant would fairly know articles from 1 to 51A. So you won't write them there. Why? Because you can remember them. Only write what you can't remember. जो आपको याद नहीं रहता है, सिर्फ वो लिखिए आप. Next, write short keywords only. Short keywords, for example, when you are writing about the drivers of left wing extremism, don't write the whole points there. From whichever source you study, don't write the whole points there. Just write simple words like, for example, development induced displacement, and then an example that during the construction of Sardar Sarovar Dam, around 21,000 tribal families were displaced from there. So just write this. Do not write what development induced displacement is, or do not write about the trends in detail that Ministry of Home Affairs has said in its annual report. See, skip all those things. Just write what is necessary. Okay, now use diagrams instead to save space, right? Use diagrams instead to save space. Instead of writing in points, if you draw a triangle or even a pentagon or something like a hexagon or something, then you can save that space, and it also helps in your mains answer writing. It helps you to make diagrams in your mains answers. So it is very important that you use diagrams instead of writing down in points or paragraphs. Now, so I hope I have cleared your doubts about notes making and PYQ analysis for mains. The link to my Telegram channel is in the description box. You can post your doubts there, or you can post your doubts in the comment section of this video. And wishing you all the best for the exams, and let's solve UPSC. Thank you.